I'm Sarah Bauerle Danzman, Assistant Professor of International Studies at Indiana University. And here are 5 things that you should know about changes to U.S. international trade policy. We have seen that the middle class has been hollowed out over the last 30 years for many reasons. And we have seen that the middle class has had very anemic rates of income growth since 1970, almost none. And so it's really easy for someone to just point to NAFTA and say, that's what's doing it, especially because it allows us to focus on outsiders as the problem. And it allows our political leaders to deflect from the things that they have done that have helped to lead to this. And it also helps us ignore the fact that part of this is just a structural change to the economy. So a trade war occurs when one country increases its tariffs on imports, and then in retaliation, other countries who feel aggrieved decide to raise their tariffs on imports by the same amount. They can also do other things, like they can impose quotas that actually limit the amount of a foreign product that comes into their country. But from an economic standpoint, all of these tools that are used are basically just making imports more expensive. There are also concerns that trade wars can then spill over into other areas, especially when it comes to national security concerns and into issues related to military disputes. China could respond to a U.S. increase in tariffs by engaging in more cyber warfare with the U.S. Other ways to escalate is for China to decide to take a more aggressive stance to Taiwan. It also could take a more aggressive stance to trade routes, to the freedom of the seas in the Pacific. Before, trade and TPP was a potential carrot to China. Without that carrot, we basically only have sticks left. And do we really want to use sticks to keep China in line? It is taking away tools of diplomacy for basically no reason. Just here in Indiana, 1 out of 5 jobs in Indiana are trade dependent, right? That's 20% of the workforce. That's over 800,000 jobs. So for example, the auto industry. Many auto components are high tech and made in the US. A lot of them are made in Indiana. And then those goods are shipped to Mexico for final assembly. When Mexico sends those cars back over the border, the 35% tariff gets slapped on it again. That will make that supply chain unsustainable because consumers won't be able to afford the cost of cars that are made that way. We could bring back all of our manufacturing to the US. We could return to what economists call autarky, which means all of our goods are made in the country. We could do that if we really wanted to. So what we would do is we would force ourselves to pay far more money for the same goods. But we also wouldn't be employing that many more people. For both of those reasons, the idea of returning to a golden era in which the US makes everything that it buys is just not realistic anymore.